Hey winners, I am actually in the middle of a 3-day seminar, kind of a self-improvement thing that I'm going through because I totally practice what I preach, so I'm all about learning and getting better. So that's why the environment and the lighting and everything's a little bit weird here. But I broke free because I wanted to make sure that I got this video posted for you guys today. And over the next probably 6 weeks or so, when we're doing the mindset portion of these videos, I'm going to really dive into, and we're going to talk a lot about these 4 principles that I believe are really where we need to start with. So obviously we talked about shifting our beliefs, and we've done some practice with that in the daily videos. We're really working on looking at a new type of belief system. Now I'm going to start building on the foundation of the things we need to do, and I'm going to give you the overview today, and then as we go forward with the weekly videos in the future, I'm going to break each one of these up into either one concept a week or one or two concepts a week. So it's going to be probably 4 to 6 weeks before we finish all 4 principles, but it's okay because I really want you to be able to think about and dive into each principle individually and how it affects you and what you can do to continue with building on that and get really specific at it and get ingrained and make sure that it's part of your daily routine. It's part of the way that you do business, okay? So the 4 principles themselves are activity, attitude, control, and repeat. And I'm going to break each one of those down and give you an overview of each of them today, but just understand that as we move through, you'll have a whole week on just one of them. So I just want to set the stage today a little bit, and then we can talk. If you're really interested in one portion or the other, you can always reach out to me individually, and we'll be able to figure out how that fits in a little quicker, or I can give you some techniques to use before that so that you can get started on something if that's something you really are interested in. Okay. So the first principle, the first fundamental that I talk about is activity. And there's 2 components to it. The process, the system, the program doesn't work if you don't work. And that just means that above all, there's activities that we have to do on a daily basis, and some of them we love to do and some of them we hate to do. But we have to do them all, and we have to do them with the right frequency, in the right sequence, or what we do doesn't work. What we have will not be complete. We won't reach our potential. So first and foremost, just understand that there's activities that need to be done. And the more activities we do, the quicker we get to results. The second component of activity really is understanding your activity. And we've not dived into it yet, but there's a worksheet that you'll get separate from the normal workly worksheet when we get to this in a couple weeks when we're just talking about activity. And this is a tracking worksheet, so it's going to track each step of the process for you. And it's going to give you ratios on each thing as they relate to the thing above it and as they relate to each other. Our real goal to doubling sales is as simple as getting 15% better at each of those 5 things, which means we have to get 15% better at activity. We have to get 15% better at contacting more people, and that just means that maybe we try a new method of marketing, maybe we do more marketing, maybe we just contact more people. So it's not necessarily that we have to make more cold calls. That's an easy way to get a 15% increase, but we have to do something to affect the big number of people that we're getting into our funnel, that we're getting to take the first step. And so all these ratios are broken down for you, and we're going to get better as we go along at each one of the items within that checklist, within that spreadsheet. The 5 steps as you would go through, we're just going to get better at each one of them, one at a time, 15% better. And that realistically, there's a lot of activity we do behind it. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes. There's a lot of studying we do. But if you really want to break down how I can guarantee that I'll double your sales, it's because I understand how to incrementally increase each one of those 5 areas by 15%, which is a manageable number for anyone. Okay? So we're really going to dive into that spreadsheet. We're going to really understand our numbers. We're really going to understand our ratios, because what we do becomes very, very simple when we understand what activities we need to do with what frequency. And then it really is as simple as plug and play. It really is as simple as checking that box for the day, and the cumulative effect of checking those boxes is doubling our sales. The next is attitude, and what we do is difficult. It's a roller coaster ride. There's days where we sign There's days where we close, there's days where we get paid. Those are all huge wins, but they're infrequent. What ends up happening is we have these moments of struggle. We have these stuff gets in the way days, right? And those are lost days. Once we lose a day, we never get it back, which means we have to perform even higher on the every day thereafter. And so really, we have to be conscious that we are responsible for attitude. And our attitude is going to directly affect our ability to inspire people. And our ability to inspire people is going to directly affect how many of them make the decision that we want to make, whether it's to list with us, whether it's to apply for a loan, whether it's to purchase one of our products, one of our services. So just understand that we have to be responsible for attitude. And the more responsible we are, the more we can gauge when our attitude is slipping and correct it, which again, I'll give you techniques for. The more we can do that, the more inspirational we're going to be, the more people are drawn to us, the more people are drawn to us, the more we will get them to make the decision that we want them to make. Control. And control is all about the process. And the workbook is, for lack of a better word, your process of how you get through things. It gives you all of the steps that you need to do to get from nothing to something. Now, there's some ancillary components to that when we talk about how to effectively negotiate, how to effectively persuade and get people to make the decision that we want them to. So that's sort of a component that's part of the process, but the real process really is those 5 steps of how I get somebody to go from nothing to transacting with me. And so we're going to spend time talking about how to control that process, right? I need to control my activity. I need to control my attitude. I need to control that process of how I take people through all of the steps from 0 to doing a transaction with me. And I need to control the conversations. I need to control the emotions within that interaction with the potential client or the client. So control is a big component. And the last is just my last 4th principle is repeat. And this principle of repeat really just means that I understand my business. And I do more, or I repeat what worked. And I do less, or I don't repeat what didn't or wasn't effective. So the repeat portion of it just really is understanding the business and understanding what works and putting ourselves in a position to replicate that, putting ourselves in a position to do that more often. And as we go along, there may be things as a group that we decide we want to change the worksheet because it helps us replicate that success. So activity, attitude, control, and repeat your success. So this isn't going to be as long a video this week only because we're going to break these down a little bit longer as we go and we're going to chunk them out. I do want to say though we're far enough along that I want you to really go back through all your worksheets, do a self-inventory of what kind of effort you put into the worksheets. You know, are you giving full effort on the worksheets? If you are giving full effort, how can you be more effective? How can you check more boxes? Because that's our goal. Is even if it's one, every week we want to check another box, an additional box, more than we did the previous week. So let's really focus in on that. You should be analyzing the current week worksheet. You should really dive into that and understand your numbers, what you did well, what you didn't do well, where you could have checked more boxes, where you didn't check boxes. And then really come up with a solid plan. Time block. For this current week, when are you going to do these critical activities? We know what the critical activities are. They change every week, but we know what they are. There's some that are going to be things we have to do every week. There's some that are going to change based on our schedule, whether we're closing, whether we're transacting, whether we have appointments with prospects, whether we have appointments to close. So understand that that's always going to change a little, but we need to know going into the week, what is our plan? And if we know the 5 critical activities to generating new business, because that's how we double business, is we generate new business. We're not going to do it by doing the same thing we've always done. We have to actively generate new business. And so the top 3 to 5 things on our checklist, on our daily activity, should be things that generate new business. And if you're waiting for something, some marketing campaigns, then you're going to have to make up for that with something immediate, like meeting people in person or making phone calls, calling past clients for referrals, and you guys have scripts in there for that. So just know that it's very important to have a plan, and we're gonna do some planning, and we'll talk about that specifically in a week or two, and how to structure your week. But just understand that most people don't go into the week with a plan. They go into the week with some thoughts about what needs to happen and what appointments, and maybe if they have a closing, but they don't really have a plan for Monday, here's what I'm accomplished. Tuesday, here's what I'm accomplished. Wednesday, here's what I'm accomplished. And the more detailed you are about that plan, the more likely you are to have success with it. So in review, activity, attitude, control, repeat. Those are the 4 foundations of success that we're going to work on over the next month or 2. Make sure you do a thorough review of last week and look for things that you did well, look for things you could do better, and then make that into a plan for this week. Add that to the things you already have going on, but you should have a very, very good snapshot of what your week looks like by right now when you're looking at this video. So I hope you guys have an amazing week. I am always here as a resource for you. If you just want to chat, if you want to celebrate a success, I'd love to hear from you. If you're struggling with something and you're not comfortable talking to anybody else, I can always at least listen and talk through it with you, and maybe provide some, ask some questions that'll provoke some thought that will lead you to some answers. So have an amazing week. I'm always here, 480-436-1820, and I'll talk to you guys soon.